in Michigan. Welcome to the Takeaway Live, Monique, Imara, and Bree. Nice to have you all. So nice to be here. I'm going to play a little something, and this comes from Black Girl Freedom Week. Happy Black Girl Freedom Week, the first of many, many, many. First ever. Here we go. My Black Girl Freedom Dream. My Black Girl Freedom Dream. My Black Girl Freedom Dream is for us Black girls to feel comfortable in our skin. Black girls can unapologetically be ourselves without the inequality, the judgment. People need to start seeing Black girls and gender expansive youth as human beings who are sacred, who deserve love.
They don't know how to handle Black girls because they instantly treat us with brutality and force.
How are we going to interact with people?
I want to show Black trans joy. We need more and more and more of what happens through the power flow on power.
Thanks so much for sharing that clip. Black Girl Freedom Week is the 1 Million for Black Girls campaign that is featured in partnership with many of our grantee partners and a number of foundations. Creators for Girls of Color is the only intermediary philanthropic organization that is exclusively focused on resourcing movements and organizations that are led by and centered around cis and trans girls, feminists, in the United States. The Black Girl Freedom Week is a week that we have claimed in February by all the amazing things that Black girls can do to our learning, to our space, to our world. It is a part of the Black Girl Freedom Fund. Organizations and movements that are centering Black girls, and we are really thrilled to share that information with you. But also, we have launched another fund in partnership with the Black Trans Fund and Bree called Holding a Sister Initiative that is for trans girls of color, and it's the first of its kind. And I'm thrilled to be in the space to share just a little bit more about what we're doing together. We're going to go to Imara. Imara, I want to take a brief look at this video from Translash.
We have made on LGBT human rights, whether it be social, political, or now medical, trans people have been essential to that change and essential to that story. The LGBTQ was launched by two trans women, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, who started the riot at Stonewall.
Imara, tell us a little bit about how Translash Media fits into the work you're doing these days.
Translash Media fits into the work that I'm doing these days because it's the essential expression of what I believe is a crucial part of what we need in order to get free. And that is the ability to be able to tell our own stories, to be able to tell our own stories in ways that center our humanity, to be able to tell our own stories as many ways as we can, because we know that not everyone receives information in the same way, and to understand that communicating our stories and communicating our humanity are an essential, if not pivotal, tool that we need to use and exercise in order to get free. And there are lots of different ways to do that, and there are lots of different types of stories to tell. Of course, there's entertainment, there are plays, there are a variety of media, but we specifically focus on Translash, telling actual stories and using the tools of journalism and personal storytelling and narrative in order to be able to do that. And so not only is that through the podcast that you just described, but also through video, through documentary, through a zine. Our next zine is coming out next month, focusing on trans migration, actually across borders and within borders and within our bodies. We also do so through digital and social media, and just look for as many opportunities as we can to get out these stories, because again, one of the things that the right has done really successfully in this country is to mobilize storytelling in order to be able to shape narrative and to drive policy and to drive political changes. And so we are doing that from the opposite spectrum, but by centering trans stories. And as we say in that video, trans people are the most marginalized of the marginalized, facing unemployment rates twice that of Black people overall, 4 times that of the general population. 2021 is on track to be a year in which we break the record for violence against Black trans people, which has been broken for several years in a row. And so we also face a year in which there are 127 pieces of anti-trans legislation pending in nearly 40 states in this country. And so if there's ever a time for us to be able to mobilize and to use storytelling as an essential tool in saving our lives, that now is it. And that's what TransLife does, and that's at the core of my work.
Bree, I want to come to you. We're going to show a little video here. It's actually some throwback, not the work you're doing right now, but work that is foundational to your work. So let's take a look.
I think it's really important. I know it's really important. We have an organization that supports trans sisters of color project that are focused on and the reason it's important is because we're an and who better to uplift the trans women the organizations that work with trans women are amazing, but we needed an organization that was working directly with the people that we are, so we need to serve them.
All right, Bree, tell us about that foundational work and what you're up to now. I run the Black Trans Fund, which is the nation's first fund that centers joy and liberation in Black trans communities. A lot of the work that I've done in movement has really been centered around joy and liberation work, which is key to the survival of Black trans communities. I started this fund 2 years ago, and it was something I had been working on for a while, really just wanting to name that I myself and other Black trans leaders across the country were paying for work out of pocket, just really struggling to provide essential first responding resources to communities. And so I wanted to create a space for one, joy and liberation is at the center of everything that we do. And also wanted to create a space in philanthropy where Black trans communities are the recipients and make funding decisions on behalf of our communities, which is super important. Stay right there. More of our conversation about gender affirmation when we return.
Support for the takeaway comes from BetterHelp Online Counseling. BetterHelp, connecting people with a therapist in a private online environment for issues like depression, anxiety, and relationships. 17,000 therapists are available through BetterHelp using a computer or smartphone. Learn more at betterhelp.com/help.
And by Stockbook. Stockbook offers 7 different mattresses, including the Stockbook Classic, a mattress with 2 layers of foil, designed to provide comfort and support. Learn more at StockbookAAPVA.com.
Supporting WHYY, Comcast, committed to improving its gig speed network for customers to browse, video conference, stream, and game. Learn more at comcast.com/network.
Supporting WHYY, MSI United States, bringing reproductive health care and all the opportunity that comes with bodily autonomy to women in some of the most remote places in the world. More at msiunitedstates.org.
You're back with Melissa Harris Perry and The Takeaway from WNYC and PRX in collaboration with WGBH Radio in Boston.
So we've been listening back to our Takeaway Live intergenerational conversation on gender affirmation. I was joined in this discussion by Dr. Monique Morris, President and CEO of Caremakers for Girls of Color, Imara Jones, creator of and Bree Rivera, writer and co-creator of the Femme Queen Chronicles. Now, let's get back to it. as a mom of a now 19-year-old, which means that at 19 she has an opportunity to make all kinds of choices and consent to being in different places. But for 17 years, I had to put her on a plane every Thanksgiving, whether I wanted to or not. And that was the nature of the court-based agreement. And look, I never feared for her physical safety in some ways, but certainly had concerns about her emotional safety. But didn't have a choice except to put her on that plane. So I'm also wondering about the ways that folks who may have less opportunity to make choices about whom they are around, and maybe especially for minors. Do you have strategies around how to try to prioritize your safety when you maybe can't leave the space?
Everything that you just said reminded me of when I was a young person and couldn't, talk about like my dreams of being the person that I am now, and how a lot of that took me to a place of retreat. So very standoffish to myself in my room a lot. But one of the things that I've come to realize that was a blessing